Hi guys, and welcome back to Next Good Thing, a channel where I help you do stuff. I'm filming today before work because I wanted to give you just a little bit of change of scenery, don't want you getting bored, so I got a little creative. And that brings me to the subject of this week's episode. This week, I'm going to help you figure out how to be creative. Now, whether or not you're a person in a creative field, everyone needs to be creative sometimes. And these tips apply to anyone, whether you work in an office and you have to come up with a great idea for a meeting, or if you're a creative professional and you're just experiencing a little bit of a block right now. This will also work if you're in school and you're just trying to pursue your own interests or trying to come up with something good for a class project. The first step to being creative is to always be ready for creativity. Oftentimes, people get themselves into these traps where they think they don't have time to be creative right now because they have to focus on this task for work, or they have to do homework, or they have to do all of these logistical things right now that aren't conducive to creativity. And they think this because they think taking the time to be creative is selfish, but it's not. It's just a part of your brain that you learn to turn on and just have going in the background all the time. Oh, hello. Hi, Ham. I'm filming. Hello. Hi. What's going on? Oh, hi. Oh, hi, I love you. So don't limit yourself to only being allowed to have creative thoughts at a certain time of day or in certain circumstances. Creativity is something that you should allow for yourself all the time. Now, part of always being prepared for creativity involves just having some light resources with you at all times. I personally recommend carrying a small notebook and some writing utensil with you at all times, just because it's a very versatile little tool set. If visual arts are the way that you find yourself being creative, then a pen and paper is a great way to you have an idea and you jot it down really quick. But it also works if you're a writer like me and you just want to jot down a premise for a story idea or a good joke that you had, or just whatever it is that comes to your mind that you feel like you want to get down. That way, instead of thinking, oh, I can't be creative right now because I have to focus on this spreadsheet for my economics class, you can be working on the spreadsheet and suddenly have a great idea about, I don't know, being trapped inside of the cells of a spreadsheet. And you just whip out your notebook and say, idea, being trapped inside spreadsheet, put it away and move on. Having a place for you to just deposit whatever your creative thoughts are at any time is something that will really help you work that muscle of being creative all the time. When you don't force yourself to shove aside creative thoughts, you'll find that you are inviting a lot more creative thoughts to happen, and you'll be more creative more of the time. Now, the next step is in addition to, not instead of, the previous step. I know I said that you shouldn't force yourself to only be creative in certain circumstances or at certain times of day, but having some time every day to just focus on creativity is good for you. That's why the next step is to set aside a little time for yourself every day to be creative. I really recommend giving yourself 15 minutes to an hour every day of just purely creative time. Now, again, that doesn't mean you save all of your creative thoughts for this time. It just means give yourself whatever time you feel is fair, that you just turn off your phone and shut out other things and give yourself time to be creative. Now, being creative doesn't necessarily mean that you have to create things all the time. If right now you don't feel like being creative in a way that means that you actually have to create something, that's totally fine. You can use this time to enjoy the creativity of others and see if it sparks something in you. If you're into visual arts, you can use this time to browse artists online or classical paintings in a book that you find really beautiful and inspiring. If you're a dancer, watch some of your favorite performances on YouTube. There's tons. If you're a writer, read a book that is really enjoyable or highly recommended. But do these things with an eye towards improving yourself and learning and becoming inspired. For instance, I went to film school and studied TV writing, and that's something that I really love to do. I love to write scripts. And something I learned in film school was called reading television, but you can also do this for movies. And any sort of thing that's on film, you could do it to YouTube if you want. Essentially, it means watching a movie or a TV show, but not just for enjoyment. Watch it with an analytical perspective. Get out a notebook and a pen or pencil and watch something on your television and take notes, because this isn't just about watching TV to zone out and enjoy your day. It's about analyzing the story just like you would with a book. Analyze the structure, the metaphors, the themes, and taking note of the things that interest you. This could really help you improve your own writing. And you can do this with something that is a totally new experience that you've never seen before, or you can do it with an episode of Friends that you love and have seen a zillion times, but you actually take the time now to sit down and write out why you love it and what jokes work and what about that inspires you. Personally, I prefer to read the shows that I have seen before, because that way the first time I experience them is just as a viewer for my pleasure, and then I'm able to go back and anticipate a bit, know what times I'm going to want to pause and write something down. I think it's just more useful for me that way, but you can do whatever you want. In addition, using your creative time that you've set aside for yourself to enjoy the work of others is a great way to put way less pressure on yourself, because no one can be totally in the act of creation all the time. That's a lot of pressure, and it's silly to say at this time of day, every day, I have to be a creative person, because that's not how creativity works. It just sort of shows up and you go with it. You can cultivate creativity and get it to show up more often, and you can learn what makes you creative and inspired. But you can't just force creativity upon yourself. And enjoying things is just as important as creating things. Now, if you do want to use this time to be creative and you have an idea, then of course, go for it. Just totally go for it. But I just want to say, like, if you've set aside 15 minutes for yourself to be creative and you get on a roll and it takes like an hour, don't stress. You're allowed to take up as much time as you need. This time is to just sort of inspire you and get the ball rolling and help you feel like you have the creative juices flowing. By the same token though, if you've set aside an hour for yourself and you had this idea and you wrote it down and you got it all out in half an hour, that's okay too. Don't feel pressured to use up the whole time if you feel that what you've done satisfied that creative urge. It's just about giving yourself the time and space that you need to get stuff done. This is a very loosely structured time. It's not prescriptive. It's just to make sure that you have time for yourself every day to focus on creativity. Now for the bonus round. Now for the bonus round, if you're in your creative time and you don't want to look at the works of others and you want to be creative and create something yourself, but you really don't have an idea, that's when it's time to use your environment. Now, by that I mean, if you're a writer like me, free write about your day. Just think of all the funniest quotes that you've heard from a friend or coworker that day and write them down. Or write a novelization of your day from the third person as if you're the main character. And this also works if you are a visual artist and you just want to look around your kitchen and draw things. It even works if you're a dancer and you're making popcorn. I don't know, come up with a dance about what it must feel like to become popcorn. I don't know, I'm not a dancer, I am sorry. But you get the idea. There's something for everyone, and you don't have to look far to find inspiration. And if you find yourself looking, at these really wonderful works of art and browsing the collections of the Louvre, or looking at these really successful online artists and thinking, I just don't know how I can get that kind of fan base or make that kind of money or do this and that. That's not the point of creativity. The point of creativity is to create and to feel inspired. And don't think of creativity as a business or a transaction. Creativity is something that is in you and around you at all times. So honor that and use the things that are around you and in you to fuel that creativity. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I really hope this helped you. And please leave me a note in the comments below about what kinds of things you want to next good thing. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. I release new videos every Wednesday. And, as always, we believe in you. You're a good boy. Okay, I gotta go to work now. Bye.